Hey Barney, nice to have you here for this video series. Let's change the world.
Let's do it, Robin. I'm pleasure to be here, and let's have some good chats.
In this episode, we want to talk about living at home, the energy thing, so how we transition to renewable. So on your website and also in your program, you include like install solar, wind, geothermal infrastructure in home or business. So what do you think? What are the solutions in this area?
Well, I think we just need both the private sector and, infrastructure providers, treasuries, green bonds. We really need people just pushing towards having our grid system powered efficiently and moving away from fossil fuels as quickly as possible. And that's not going to happen overnight, between natural gas, coal, and, the way that we're doing things now with diesel generators. We've got a long way ahead, but we need to be promoting these renewable technologies as quickly as possible, and we need to be incentivizing people to do it on a big level, so it's not just an empty black hole that they're investing in. There's very simple return on investments, whether it's a corporation with hundreds of thousands of people involved or just simply a family putting solar or a wind turbine on their house. We need incentives very quickly on a very big scale that can help drive that. And I think the private sector is really catching up with seeing that potential. So I just want to be connecting dots on a personal level to people who are making these projects happen, especially in Southeast Asia, Africa, high Nepal, places that have kerosene, dodgy cooking stoves, using cow patties to power their stoves. We need to be having them working off cleaner fuels. And that developing nations for me is a big focus for that, but it's a global transition that we're going to be a part of. So, I hope that explains to some extent the how important this is to cut through the sectors. It's going to be something that cuts through all the sectors, this transition with how we power ourselves. And there's certain things like geothermal that are just so untapped, and really excited to see how we can power ourselves off volcano energy, off wind energy, off solar, having whole buildings, where the skyscrapers have windows that are made out of solars, potentially having cars that have, self-charging systems in them. We've got an abundance of resources that are available. We just need to be tapping into them more effectively, really incentivizing on a big and small level to make that happen.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And when I talked about this with people, then they say to me like, "Oh, I would love to install this stuff, but it's such a big investment." So you also talked about incentivation. So what is your idea? How can people afford this?
Well, I mean, between a rebate, California has these great rebates. They will help you put solar on your roof. They'll give you that 10,000 capital to make sure it's on there, and then in 3-4 years, if you positioned it right, if you're getting enough sunlight, that's going to have a return on your family. And as long as you don't have situations like in Texas where suddenly solar isn't getting paid for going into the grid because there was an abundance of it, as long as we make sure that there's effective systems to allow people to push their energy back into the grid, I think that's key. Because I think a big transition that we're experiencing right now on a grid level is moving away from a centralized grid. For America, for example, has 7 major centralized grids that power the United States, and we need to be going towards a distributed microgrid system as quickly as possible. And if we can incentivize people to create more on their buildings, on their businesses, that will trickle to giving more money to the grid, which is key.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of stuff. I think the people are inspired and overwhelmed by all these different things. So hopefully a lot of people out there try to think about this stuff and try to think about how to change the world to renewable. Thank you so much, Barney Swan, for this episode, and there will be more to come.